happy Monday morning to you all, September 23rd, 2024. I do appreciate y'all for watching this. I'm going to go ahead and be 100% honest with you guys. The information you guys are about to get in this video and going forward, more than likely over the next couple of days as we get ready for what's going to be a major hurricane, more than likely here in Florida. It's not going to be good news, and I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. I'm not going to overhype anything. I'm going to give you guys the facts, give you guys what we're looking at, and get you guys ready for this system. If you are along the Florida coastline, specifically from Tampa up to Mobile, Alabama, you need to be preparing for a major hurricane and potentially a catastrophic hurricane if these model runs continue to throw out what they're throwing. We have seen some crazy ensembles, some crazy model runs this morning. They've continued to trend that way. The hurricane models are now out. Another thing I'm going to update you guys on, we are more than likely going to have our first National Hurricane Center cone on the 11 o'clock Eastern Time advisory this morning. So we'll get that first official cone out, and more than likely it will show a major hurricane. I'm banging my money that we're probably going to see a major hurricane. If not, it'll eventually get upgraded to that at some point. But right now, we have Invest 97L, not a named storm right now, but you can see down here on the bottom of your screen, really starting to get itself going here. Center of circulation has actually shifted to the east just a little bit more. We're really starting to see that convection kind of flare up here on that eastern side. We want to see more convection on the western side if this storm is going to become more of a rapid intensification as far as getting itself together here, and I do think that'll happen through majority of the day today. We'll more than likely have a named storm either by tonight or tomorrow morning. The GFS continuing to be on a consistent track right now with this. The European as well on a consistent track with this. Now, there's two different disagreements on the intensity track on both of these. Like I said, and we'll talk about that here in just a moment. But this is the calm before the storm, guys. Once again, if you live from, I really would say Key West all the way up through Interstate 10 here, this is your time to prepare. There is no more sitting and waiting and letting the storm, get to you and making your decisions right before. There is a very, very good chance that we see a Cat 3, Cat 4, and possibly even a Cat 5 hurricane make landfall somewhere in Florida along the Big Bend area, and it's really favoring the Apalachicola and down to Cedar Key area, specifically Apalachicola and Tallahassee. And then the impacts are going to go very, very far inland. We're going to see a lot of heavy rainfall, possibly a couple tornado outbreaks on a couple of days through that eastern side of the storm, as well as significant wind, significant storm surge. This is the calm before the storm, guys. And you guys know me. You guys have watched me for a while if you're new. Like I said, this is a situation we've not had in a while. The last major hurricane, Cat 4 or higher, was Hurricane Ian, and that was back in 2021. And that was, I believe, in the Florida area as well. And then Laura in Louisiana back in 2020. So it's been about 3 or 4 years since we've had a significant catastrophic hurricane, and I'm hoping that that's not what happens here. But the model agreements are just way too concise and inductive of that potential being on the table here. So like I said, this is not the cone that's out right now. This is still that development region. I could honestly probably get rid of that here in just a minute. But that hurricane center track is forecasted, I believe, to come out for the 11 o'clock advisory. So when we do our live stream this afternoon, we'll have that information out there for you guys. That'll probably be at some point later on this afternoon when we do that. We'll get into that information here in a minute. Like I said, continuing to see that convection really flare up here. I'm not going to go too much into the hurricane models with this because there's a lot of confusion with that a little bit. I'll just kind of show you the major models and what we're going to be looking at here, and we'll go forward with this system. I do want to talk about one other thing really, really quickly first, and that is going to be the severe weather threat today. We do have a marginal risk for tornadoes here in southern eastern Missouri and far western Kentucky. There is a 2% tornado risk that is in this area today that just got added from the Storm Prediction Center here this morning. Be mindful of tornadoes. We actually had 2 confirmed tornadoes and a general thunderstorm risk yesterday in northeastern Indiana, and the National Weather Service did not warn either one of those tornado-warned storms. There were video evidence of it. We saw the tornado that was on the ground in the Muncie and Portland, Indiana. A high school had its roof pretty much taken damage from that system. So that's something we need to be mindful of. Just because you're not in a severe weather risk, you can still see potential for severe weather in some areas. And on random occasions, possibly a tornado. It does happen. Today, like I said, there is that 2% tornado risk here in northern Tennessee, southeastern Missouri, and western Kentucky. Be mindful of that. Hail and wind outside of that tornado risk there in general in the green. And then we also have a marginal risk for severe weather tomorrow, and it doesn't move much. Western Kentucky, Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, or not Georgia, Florida, northern Georgia, northern Mississippi, northeast Alabama, parts of Ohio, West Virginia. This is the level 1 risk. We'll probably have a tornado risk somewhere in here as well. I don't know where it's going to be at, but there is an upper level cutoff low that's going to be bringing in a chance for some wind and hail and maybe a brief spin up tornado down there. So that's something I wanted to focus on you guys with that. We've also got some storms that I believe that are ongoing right now, and I want to go ahead and pop up with these real quick before we get back to the tropics. Yeah, we've got ongoing storms this morning in that risk zone. You can see all the convection here coming across the Illinois and Missouri lines here. A lot of heavy rainfall falling, a lot of lightning. Not seeing any severe warning storms at this time. This morning time convection is going to work its way through parts of western Kentucky, southern Illinois, and Indiana later on this morning. The atmosphere will recover this afternoon. We'll see a potential for some severe storms somewhere in this quarter later on this afternoon and evening, and into tomorrow. We'll talk more about that later on. But I'm not going to go much into that. I want to get back to the tropics here with you guys, and we'll go ahead and show those model runs, the ensembles. We'll go ahead and get to the GFS ensemble run first, and you guys can see this. This is the GFS ensemble run. This is a bunch of GFS runs kind of put together. Every single one of these shows a major hurricane, and that's going to be the difference here between this and the European run. Some of these have Cat 4, Cat 5 hurricane status being reached. It cannot be ruled out, and I'm not trying to scare anybody, but at this point in time, 3 days before a landfalling storm here, and the models are still showing Cat 4, Cat 5 status, it's something to be very concerned about. So once again, in that the model agreement is pretty much concise and, showing here that we're going to have a landfall between Apalachicola, Tallahassee, and Cedar Key as of right now. We'll continue to update you guys on that situation, but you got to be prepared for a major hurricane here in Florida if you are not already. This is that time to get your stuff now. Go to the store, get your stuff that you need. You're running out of time at this point, more than likely, for us to get ready for this system. It's going to be very, very quick as the storm rapidly intensifies. European ensembles, a little bit of a weaker storm, still Cat 1, Cat 2, possibly Cat 3 status. Have this storm waiting to get its intensification together until later on Tuesday night into Wednesday, and that's going to be the difference. So watching the storm today and see what it does will kind of play the factor on which model was potentially going to be right. So that's another area. The landfall agreement is still pretty much in the same here. Now, I want to go to the GFS model because this thing has been popping out some crazy scenarios over the last week here, and they've been continuing to trend and be conducive for a major hurricane. GFS does have a Cat 1 hurricane by early Wednesday morning, if not Cat 2 status by early Wednesday morning, coming out of the Caribbean here, and then this rapidly intensifies into what could be a Cat 4, possibly even a Cat 5 hurricane if this happens. That is one scenario. GFS is showing that. Landfall would be around the Cedar Key, Tallahassee area. European model overnight last night. A little bit on the weaker side of things. Moore still has a hurricane here, but doesn't have this coming in until a Cat 1 hurricane until about Wednesday afternoon. So there's about a 12 to 16 hour difference in the models here. Has this making landfall as a Cat 1, Cat 2 hurricane on Thursday afternoon in Apalachicola. So, GFS showing high-end worst-case scenario. European showing kind of potential back to earth here, but I think we're going to be either on the higher extreme or back to the middle, kind of between that Cat 2, Cat 4 status as of right now. But depending on what happens today and tomorrow are going to be those bigger factors. So once again, regardless of what this is category-wise, you've got to be prepped for a major hurricane. We are going to have potentially areas of over a foot of rainfall there in the South Bend area, or in the Big Bend area of Florida, into Georgia, into the Gulf Coast areas here, into the Carolinas next week, and we'll get to that here again in just a second. I do want to pop up another thing. If you guys don't know, Tropical Tidbits is a great website to use here. They're amazing with showing intensification and just the gradual model ensembles and give an idea of what we're going to be seeing here. This is the updated intensity track forecast as of here recently. This is going to show, this is actually from, I believe, last night or this morning here, but a lot of these models now starting to reach that Cat 4 status down to Cat 3 status, more in a majority agreement here, and that's going to be something that we've really got to pay attention to here. This could be our first major hurricane in Florida since at least last year with Idalia, but on a significant more side of this. Now, the sustained winds pressure is at 104, sustained winds right at 24, 25 knots, so not at tropical depression status yet, but hurricane hunters will be going in there later on this afternoon to officially start to fly into this storm, so that's something that we've got to be mindful of. We'll keep you guys updated on that latest for this system as well. I want to go ahead and show these rainfall totals that are going to be across the coastline, because not only are we going to have heavy rain, we're going to have the potential for a couple tornadoes, maybe even a tornado outbreak, especially on that eastern side of the storm. As always, storm surge is going to be interesting to watch. We're going to have to wait for that Hurricane Center forecast to come out for the storm surge, but I would suspect anywhere from 10 to 15 feet of storm surge, especially along landfall, more than likely. We'll probably have, like I said, the hurricane force winds more than likely. Clearly with that, tropical storm force winds will actually start Wednesday in Florida once the system moves in off the coast of Florida with an intensifying storm here. I want to go ahead and show these rainfall totals on the European model run, because it just gives us a more better conductive idea that what this is going to do once this goes inland here. And here's the European model run through, I believe, Monday. You can see the swath of rainfall anywhere from in those yellow and those gold areas here, from western North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, all the way down to the Big Bend area here in Florida. We've got over 5 to potentially up to a foot of rainfall. So 5 inches of rain to 12 inches of rain. Some areas will probably see higher once those initial forecasts come out. Then we're going to see rain into Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky. So widespread heavy rainfall for much of the deep south, lower Ohio Valley, and the mid-Atlantic are going to be a pretty big problem going forward with this situation, or with this storm. And like I said, we'll talk and fine-tune that forecast with you guys when we get the latest on that update for you guys. But if you guys are not prepped, like I said, you need to be prepped now. This is, like I said, we're talking landfall Thursday afternoon. It's Monday here, so within the matter of 72 hours, potentially a landfalling hurricane, major hurricane. And I think a lot of people think that this is still not legit yet. Going from an invest, a non-named storm, to a major hurricane within a matter of 3 days, I've seen a lot of people say that that's crazy and that's not going to happen. Guys, we've watched major hurricanes go from tropical storms to Cat 5 hurricanes within a matter of 1 day before. Last year, we had Hurricane Otis in Mexico make landfall. It was a tropical storm on the morning of, Cat 5 hurricane on the night of landfall within a 12 to 16-hour period. Not saying that's what's going to happen here, but the models are showing that rapid intensification. The waters in the ocean are very warm. Heat energy is very, very conducive for rapid intensification. Low shear, high moisture content availability. Everything is there for this storm to do, what it can do. And so that's something we've really got to pay attention to. So today's going to be a waiting day. We'll get on stream later on this afternoon, guys. I think in between 4 and 8 p.m. is kind of going to be stream time tonight. So make sure y'all come in for the latest information. We'll be live on all socials more than likely tonight, giving you guys that updated information. But boy, oh boy, this is going to be an extremely long week, guys. Buckle up, get ready for it. If you're not prepped now, get prepped now. But you're starting to run out of time if you're not already. So, guys, have a wonderful Monday. I'll see you guys on the live stream tonight. Share this out to as many people as you guys possibly can. I want to get the awareness out there to everybody. But other than that, be safe, be weather aware, and I will see you guys in the next one.